1, 2. All right, it's great to see a full house this evening. Thank you for coming out. If you can please take your seats so we can get started. All right, if we can please call the roll.
Mayor Bright Cruz,
Here.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski,
Here.
Councilmember Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. All right, if we can please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I could, I think a lot of people are here for item number 15. I'd like to make a motion to move it up to somewhere after the administration comments, if that's acceptable.
Second.
Yes. I'm good with that. Everybody okay? We'll move that up to item number 9. Yep. Okay. We don't need to vote on that, right? Just consent. Yep. All right. All right, so we'll move that item up. All right, let's begin with public comment.
Sure.
So
Mayor.
just a note on public comment before we get started, a couple of thoughts. Number one, I know that a lot of you are here for the proactive issue. That is a separate item on here, so you'll have an opportunity. That's the item we just moved up. That will still occur relatively soon, but please keep your comments for when that item comes up, not during public comments. The other thing is we've got a full house, which is awesome. Always love to see this, but normally I'm very flexible on the amount of time that I give, but because we've got a full house, we're going to stick pretty strictly to our 3 minutes. So if you can please stay with your 3 minutes so that everybody has an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Mayor, we're going to start tonight with the Sikh Youth Association, followed by, they can come up first. So who's speaking for the Sikh Youth Association? Come on.
Hello.
Hello.
There's a video to play first.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what it said.
important in our community and in our world today. This event is so important in so many ways. It raises a tremendous amount of money for the scholarship fund, another way for us to all work together and be a community and all show support for one another. Bigger and beyond that message of unity that is so important in our community and in our world today.
We appreciate your commitment to the message of unity in diversity. The proceeds are going towards the town's college scholarship fund, which provides financial aid for college students. There is more that brings us together than pulls us apart.
Hello to all council members. We hope you're all well today and tonight. As preparations continue for our 6th annual Unity in Diversity 5K Run Walk, we would like to remind the council and town residents to sign up and donate for the race. We have an amazing Valentine's Day special going on. You can receive $5 off on your registration fee from now till January 15th using code Valentine's Special. Sign up now as we are a month away from the race.
We are building great momentum as we have received promotional videos of our 5K from the likes of comedian and actor Russell Peters and Shark Tank member Damon John. Along with these members, we are live streaming our 5K for the first time, allowing us to reach out to a larger audience. To make our event more streamlined and easy to check in and check out, we are launching an app which will organize volunteers at our 5K. We urge everyone to reach out to friends and family so we can put together another amazing event. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for all the work that you're doing behind the scenes. This is an awesome event for our community and for all involved. It really is, helps show how we are a strong community together and the unity and diversity. It's more than a tagline. It's the reality of what this is all about. And all the funds go to a great cause for our scholarship fund for our students. So for everybody who's here and all that listen to this, I would just encourage you to sign up and take advantage of the discount while it's out there, and let's make it a great success again this year. Thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, we also have another video.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Ansbaugh, followed by Eddie Flores, followed by Elliot Safety.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Who is that? Okay, sorry, I can't see. Okay. No problem. So next speaker is Lisa Sharon, and Marion Allen, followed by Paul Stearns. Ready?
Good evening, Lisa Sharon, 5960 Southwest 172nd Avenue, Southwest Ranches, Florida, 33331. This is my first meeting, so please bear with me.
Welcome.
I purchased the vacant land in 2019 to build a container home. We started construction in 2021, and June of 2021, doing my due diligence, I realized that there was a 45-foot easement there that I would have to grant. So June 2021, I granted the 45-foot easement, and then September 2021, Southwest Ranches changed it to a right-of-way. So progressing with my construction, we were near completion, and I ended up reaching out to Southwest Ranches. Everybody is so helpful, and I got pre-approval for my landscape architecture for my design. So I went ahead, got everything planted, incurred the cost for that, and then just as I finished everything 100% complete for my certificate of occupancy, engineering came out and said that we could have a problem with the tree location. So I kind of thought, with engineering being different than the landscaping, where I had the pre-approval and the final inspection approval, that maybe there was just some sort of miscommunication. In any event, beginning of January, I was emailed that I have to relocate the trees. So I had some people come in, and they said the trees are not going to survive. They're cypress trees. And 3 companies did not want to take the liability because I spent $8,000 to plant the trees and everything was approved. So I have a couple of options that I was hoping to present to you. The first one would be if all parties are in agreement that we can rescind, cancel the quitclaim, the trees get to live, and we don't have to worry about anything, just move ahead, move forward, and then I could get my CO issued. And then the second option would be that Southwest Branches does have 5,960 square feet of my property that I have to quitclaim, which is quite a bit of property. And seeing that I paid fair market value for the land, I was hoping for some, respectfully, I request some compensation for that big chunk of land. And again, seeing that Southwest Ranches owns that, perhaps we could work something out with the relocation, because again, I was told that they're not going to survive. And I did pay $8,000 to have the trees put there, and everything was approved. And now I'm going to have to incur the cost to move them onto my property line. So those are just the two options that I'd like to present to you. And hopefully you can, convene and get back to me, and hopefully we can have some resolution.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Marion Allen, followed by Paul Stearns, followed by Newell Hollingsworth.
Good evening, Marianne Allen, 12701 Mustang Trail, and longtime resident. I like to show both sides of a case. And I think just one side has been predominantly shown for quite some time. And I'd like to get just some facts out there. And this is regarding the resolution of the town to support Israel. Well, if we go back and just do a little history, Palestine was Judea. It was the ancient homeland of the Jews. When Rome conquered it, they called it Palestina, which was after the Philistines, which were lifelong enemies of the Jewish people. Well, it doesn't take us long to remember the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews, men, women, and children, were killed by the Nazi regime because they had no homeland. They had no one to protect them. They had nowhere to go to. And the Jewish people said never again to the Holocaust. So we go to 1947, where the world dictated that out of the 90% of Arab land, the Jewish people were given a tiny, tiny spit of land, a piece of desert. They've always been an industrious people that love their land. They learned how to make fresh water out of salt water. They irrigated their land. They made gardens. And they worked hard. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of Jewish settlements were in Gaza. Temples, towns, buildings. They had $1 billion worth of greenhouses in Gaza that they gave to the Palestinians as a peace offering. The army went in and removed Jewish people from Gaza to give it to the Palestinians. You know what they did with those greenhouses and all the water pipes? They made bombs. They made missiles out of them. Out of the billions of dollars of aid that go to Gaza, it's made into a war effort against Jewish people. For 75 years, they've lived with suicide bombings, attacks. They've lived with missiles coming over their heads. We can't imagine living like that. And October 7th, there was a ceasefire until Hamas attacked. The atrocities that were documented are beyond horrific. They are worse than what the Nazis did to the Jews, and the Palestinians are proud of it. This was the government, Hamas, of Palestine. So when they declare that they want every Jew from the river to the sea, that is genocidal talk. They want rid of every man, woman, and child that is Jewish. And the Jewish people are the only democracy in that part of the world. They are our friends. And if I have to take sides, I'm going to take sides with a civilized society, not one that promotes war and kills babies, okay? Thank you so much for letting me support our resolution for Israel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Stearns, followed by Newell Hollingsworth, followed by Jim Lasky.
Sure. Thank you. Good to see you, Paul. Yeah, thanks.
I'm Paul Stearns, 5700 Southwest 136th Avenue. This is in regards to recreational burning in the town of Southwest Ranches. We were cited, and a $200 fine was issued by the town of Southwest Ranches on February 6th for a bonfire we had on the evening of January 1st, 2024. I believe this was an error based on the following. Recreational burning is not prohibited in the town of Southwest Ranches. Recreational burning is permitted within the state of Florida. Recreational burning is permitted by Broward County. Recreational burning is defined as including bonfires. A bonfire requires fuel, which in the Florida Administrative Code subsection blah, 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 which I've included on the back, includes the open burning of vegetative debris or untreated wood in a recreational or ceremonial bonfire. There is no Town of Southwest Ranches ordinance prohibiting bonfires, and as such, the ability to gather sufficient vegetative debris or untreated wood must be allowed, and this cannot be considered garbage, refuse, or rubbish or refuse under the Town of Southwest Ranches Section 1622G. Additionally, I believe a mistake was made when the magistrate asked staff who should be contacted for approval. The Town of Southwest Ranches reply was the city. Town of Southwest Ranches, in their notice of hearing under the section remedy, stated we should contact the Department of Forestry prior to any open burning. When we contacted FFS, they said to contact the city. In addition, based on the fact that the Town of Southwest Ranches had no ordinance covering recreational burning, there is no way for anyone to grant or deny approval for an activity permitted by both the state and the county. The evidence presented at the hearing clearly showed we were having a party. The date of the party was January 1st, 2024, a normal day of celebration. Based on every definition available, we were having a bonfire. We deliberately and specifically gathered vegetative debris for the sole purpose of the bonfire. This was obviously not burning rubbish. I believe the magistrate's ruling was incorrect because it was based on an ordinance which applies only to the burning of garbage or rubbish or refuse for the sole purpose of disposing of the same, as well as he was provided incorrect information by staff when they said they could call the city for approval. It appears my only redress for this injustice is to appeal to the circuit court, which is costly and it involves suing the town. I have no desire to sue the town in which I live. I come before you to have the judgment set aside due to the errors in interpreting the ordinance and the misinformation provided by Town of Southwest Ranches staff, or have my case reheard by the magistrate with staff providing correct information.
Well, thank you for bringing that to us. I'm going to stop there, but we will follow up on that. I think it's a
Okay. I've
sounds like a point.
included the state statutes on the back and the
Awesome.
county website where it says that that recreational burning is permitted. And I've
I got it.
included my notice.
Perfect. We will get back to you, I promise.
Thank you. Newell Hollingsworth, followed by Jim Lasky.
Noah Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. At the last meeting, I read to you into the record the orphan project list. I didn't get any further than that because I went over my minutes. I'd like you to take a look at the comprehensive plan when you get a chance about the master tertiary and stormwater drainage plan for the west side of Southwest Ranches. We did get a $250,000 grant, and our engineering department has only used it for a master's drainage plan, stormwater drainage plan for the town, but not the tertiary. In the comprehensive plan on page 142, in the capital improvement element, number 11, develop and maintain a tertiary drainage plan for all areas within our town. And number 14 says, implement the capital improvements identified in this comprehensive plan as may be updated from time to time. It has not been done. I would like the council to inform our engineering department that they're in violation of the comprehensive plan. Tertiary should have been part of the stormwater plan. It is not. Thank you.
Thank you, Newell.
Thank you. Romy Shuni's after Jim Lasky. No problem. So Jim Lasky, followed by John Stephen Garrotti.
Jim Lasky, 188th Avenue. I'm part of a group that's supposed to be a member of a task force to solve the problem with incineration coming to town. I've asked for a copy of our garbage contract. I did get a copy of a unapproved garbage contract. So I can't understand how the garbage works in this town. And from what I see, it looks like we got all kinds of extra waste haulers in our town, which is causing an issue in my neighborhood. You know, I don't want to see haulers going to Lake Okeechobee based on 185th Avenue. You know, now Epic has got a trash vehicle. And these guys, we got fuel trucks running down the street. We've got all kinds of landscapers paying money, probably cash, to have their yard clippings and whatever, mulch, whatever you want to call the gimmick they're using to justify it, hauled somewhere. You know, to me, that's waste. That's solid waste. That should be going through waste management by contract or whatever the hell they want to do. All right? And it needs to be disposed of to where we get a piece of the action. We're not getting a piece of the action. I've been doing a lot of investigation on garbage, and supposedly, from what I hear from garbage analysts, because there's a lot of people, because there's a lot of money in this subject that I'm talking about, in the recovery of waste that can be resold. And it like I said, it ain't China. China ain't paying enough money, and they're broke anyway. It's other cities. It's cities in the United States, out of Houston, Texas. We got a guy that was created through Viola Environmental. As it started off to be a little offshoot, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Now it's a public company. It's got a $32 billion market cap. $32 billion takes a lot of work to make $32 billion. Anyway, so all this stuff is going on, screwing up the neighborhood and the town, and we're not getting any money out of it. So we need to collect that 10%, I think it is, for franchise fee for every truck that hauls anything out of here, hopefully payable back to you all. I think it would make a big difference. So I'm going to try to request again a copy of the garbage contract as it's written and agreed to. So that's one little thing I need to get my job done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
John Garrotti. May Rivenbark. Where's May?
Good evening. John Garrotti, 162nd Avenue. You guys know me. I come up here every couple weeks and give you guys a little bit of information and a little bit of good times, I hope. Anyway, it's good to see a full house. It's nice to see Southwest ranches of every aspect, different backgrounds. It's what this town's all about. I know we have good times and bad in every business, every government. I did want to take a little bit of time to discuss, not about code enforcement, because we got a lot to talk about when it comes to that, but I did want to thank many of the residents that watch me on YouTube, different parts of Southwest ranches. And they, you know what, there's a guy that kind of listens to the people a little bit. I might not be correct about everything. I just voice my opinion. And if we don't come out and say what we feel and what's bothering us and learn our town officials and what they're all about, we're not using our rights as we should. So I did want to take this brief, and I want to thank my wife on YouTube. I've been doing that lately. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for District 3. Jim, you're a great guy. I just feel that maybe a little bit of change, a little bit of difference. I'm throwing my hat in. Russell, I'll see you tomorrow with the paperwork. Guide me through whatever I'm missing. If it's not you, just tell me where to go. But you guys don't know me. I just want fairness. A lot of folks, don't get treated right in this town, and that's what I'm here for. And I'm going to take this minute and a half, 2 minutes to just introduce myself. I'm John Garrotti. I'm about as fair as you can be. I don't like nonsense. I'm a common sense person. And I've been here for 22 years, witnessed a lot of negative things, witnessed a lot of positive things, but I think I can make a change. Hope you guys vote for me. Thank you very much.
Herman Stubbe, followed by Catalina Stubbe. Herman? Is this on the code issue, or do you want to? Oh, please speak.
Good evening. Herman Stubbe. I want to address the previous meeting code 2004-004 regarding assemblies. I would like to please have you reconsider why a city would limit the number of assemblies that a resident can have in his own home. It's pretty clear that it doesn't limit the type of assembly. You just kind of threw a broad blanket over everything. If there are problems with Airbnbs, etc., limit commercial activity or limit specific activity, but don't affect the rest of the community that has maybe many children and wants to have several, birthday parties, right? And then you have to go ask the city for permission to have a party for your kid. I don't think even Weston HOAs do that. That's a little bit too much. So please reconsider. We are livestock owners. We want the rural lifestyle. We're not asking to convert this into a suburb or city, but we like to keep those rights intact. Thank you.
Thank you. Catalina Stubbe.
Thank you so much, Mayor, councilors. First of all, I want to say how grateful I am for all your job. And I think you are there not for the money, but because you are willing to work for the people of Southwest Ranches. I have two little things to say. First of all, with each ordinance, this apply to the citizens of Southwest Ranches. However, any person from the outside can complain about us. And just simply the person who is the victim is going to be a citizen of Southwest Ranches. So I would like to propose, if is possible, to protect only the citizens of Southwest Ranches. It means if we have an ordinance about birthday parties that we cannot do, let's say 2, or we need permission, and for every reason my parents arrive with other cousins and we end up with a non-planned party in a Sunday because we're celebrating whatever. So if I have a bad neighbor and he's complaining, and now because I have complained, or I have the police coming into my house because we are gathering, then this person that is not even an owner of any house in Southwest Ranches can complain about me. And anyone in this country can actually complain about me. So if I am bothering any neighbor here, owner of a Southwest Ranches house, yes, I am pretty concerned about create a good relationships between us neighbors, and but I don't think an outsider, and as a public person, any public person that lives here, this is a threat. This is not for me. This is for anyone. Because imagine you have a very well-known person who anyone can complain at that moment. And second thing, it's about the parties that the last ordinance that it has been modified many times. I think we all came or live here to feel this freedom of this country. I came into this country to not being harassed by ordinance and rules and laws. I follow the rules, yes, but when they is common sense. When it limits my private life, I am not agree. I do not agree that they tell me that I have the permission to do 2 parties at a year when I have a family of 4 children and I have a big family to celebrate so many beautiful moments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Valentina Baez, followed by Susan Muhammad, followed by Mary Michelle. Valentina? Okay. Susan Muhammad?
Good evening, everyone. I wasn't planning on saying something, but after listening to this woman, I kind of felt compelled to say something. Marianne stated that she was going to state two sides, but instead came up and filled us with propaganda, rhetoric, and lies. I've lived in Palestine. I've lived in the United States. I've seen what goes on there on both sides. As an American, my loyalties are to the United States at first. Palestinians are the only ones that accepted the Jews when they came in 1947. This woman came up here and lied through her teeth when I say no more lies, no more lies, no more lies. No more rhetoric, no more propaganda. Haaretz Israeli News reported, this is a major news company in Israel, reported that the majority of Israelis that were killed was done by the IDF by the Hannibal Directive. There were no beheaded babies, as stated by, unfortunately, our president. That was rescinded. There was no rapes. My point, I respected you, ma'am, when you sat here and lied. Yeah, hopefully. My point today is to say Palestinians are on a daily basis tortured and persecuted. As an American, I have to want the best for my adoptive country. Support of this resolution is a racist and not American. And when does the majority of a country or an area dictate whether or not we have entitlement to it? She stated that 90% was Arab. What does that have to do with anything? Being Jewish is a faith. There are Palestinian Jews who are my friends. There are Palestinian Christians. For goodness sakes, Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem. If that doesn't say enough about Palestine, I really just don't know what else is to say. This resolution is racist and it goes against the Palestinians in your community. We have a Palestinian here who is building the compound. He's Palestinian. We have several Palestinians that live in Sunshine Ranches. We have several Palestinians that live in Southwest. I live in Ivanhoe Estates. We have tons that live in Ivanhoe residence. It's just not fair to me, to my children, that this resolution is even intact. And I hope that you guys will rescind it. Thank you.
Mary Michelle, followed by Louis Leal, and then final speaker, Alicia Baez, but I think that's probably on the code issue.
Mary Michelle, North Saxon Circle. This will be my third time speaking to ask for a retraction of Town Council Resolution 2024-001, support for Israel, and in its place, create a new resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire, equitable peace negotiations, lifting of the siege, and justice for the oppressed. I would like to ask for an end to this senseless slaughter, but I cannot. It is not senseless. It is deliberate. It is being carried out with full intent. It is a calculated, maniacal, homicidal extinction of an entire population. It is an outright genocide which is being sanctioned and justified by the supposed routing out of Hamas. However, let it be known, regardless of all the anti-Hamas fervor and Zionist propaganda, Israel itself is responsible for Hamas. I will read a direct quote from the Times of Israel. Quote, "For years, the various governments of Benjamin Netanyahu took an approach that divided power between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, bringing the Palestinian Authority, President Mahmoud Abbas, to his knees while making moves that propped up the Hamas terror group. The idea was to prevent Abbas or anyone in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing towards the establishment of a Palestinian state." End quote. Benjamin Netanyahu blatantly stated in the Knesset in 2019, anyone who wants to avoid the creation of a Palestinian state has to support Hamas and has to transfer money to Hamas. This is what we are doing. This is part of our strategy, to finance Hamas so that there will never be a Palestinian state. Deputy Speaker of the Knesset and member of Foreign Affairs and Security Committee has openly stated, we have one common goal, erasing Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. But after months of murder and bloodshed inflicted by bombing and shooting, the Palestinian people are now being starved to death and perishing from famine and disease. Israel accused, without proof to this day, that the UN RWA was in collaboration with Hamas and thereby cut off all food, medical supplies into Gaza. UNWRA was the only humanitarian aid agency able to effectively provide food, water, medical supplies to the victims of Israel's relentless slaughter. Gazans are starving while Israeli snipers use anything that moves in the streets as target practice. Innocent civilians, grandmothers waving white flags, children of all ages, dogs, cats, sheep, goats. This brutality knows no bounds. I ask again for this town, whose members will not be able to say they did not know when the awful truth comes to full recognition, to rescind the current resolution, which pledges complete and blind support for this murderous regime, and in its place, call for a permanent ceasefire and equitable peace negotiations in the region. The truth cannot and will not be buried under the rubble. Thank you.
Louis Leo?
Buenas noches. Bueno, la señorita me va a ayudar porque no hablo inglés. Bueno, yo soy venezolano, yo vengo de un país lleno de tiranos, donde las leyes imputan mucho a las personas y creo que por culpa de muchos vecinos aquí en esta zona que han hecho cosas malas no deberíamos de pagar todo.
Thank you. So he asked me to translate. He came from a tyrannic country, from Venezuela, and where there, these tyrannic rules are always ruling the life of private citizens. So he say it's not for the fault of a few neighbors that we everyone should pay the new rules ordinance.
Bueno, yo estoy arrendado en una de las propiedades de la señorita aquí, donde tenemos nuestros caballos, no todos los fines de semana, pero sí muchas veces van sus padres con los niños a disfrutar de sus equinos y me parece injusto que no puedan ellos pues compartir con sus hijos un fin de semana.
So he is saying that he is there and try to share a few memories and moments with his family every weekend. So he and his friends can be sometimes small gatherings, but family gatherings. And these rules, so actually they are limiting what he wants to celebrate and continue to celebrate with his family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you for coming out.
Katerina, can you give his name and where he lives?
¿Tu nombre?
Luis Leal.
Luis Leal.
And address?
And he write it down on the paper.
He's supposed to identify over the sound system
Okay.
so everybody knows.
So Luis Leal in 178 and 59.
Perfect. Thank you.
We, just a quick note, so we'll have comments by the council and also our attorney, and we will respond to that ordinance. So please stay for that explanation. Yes. Who's next?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. You know, a lot of times the things that we hear in public comment are pointing out things that are areas where we need to improve, we need to look at, we need to check it out. So I know it's a hassle to come out here, but it is appreciated that you come out, that you speak, and that we get to hear the concerns that you have. So thank you. All right. Board reports. Have any board reports this evening?
So first, I'll just speak on behalf of the Ed Board really quick. Actually, Kathy's here. I just wanted, again, I just wanted to urge everybody to sign up for the Seek 5K run. It's one of the biggest fundraisers of the scholarship fund. It will be definitely this year. Even if you can't participate in it, if you sign up for the whatever, I don't know what it is, $25, $30 now with your $5 discount, whether you attend or not, all of that comes back in the scholarship. All right, so that's that. So now, just in regards to the Zero Waste Broward Task Force, and I left with our next meeting is going to be next Wednesday, February 14th. We've had there's so many people, I know I've said this before, but there's so many people that say, we need to stop this. This can't happen. What can I do? You ask them what they do. They sign up for, I can be on this committee, but we need people not only to sign up for committees, we need people that when we ask you to do something that you say, here I am, what can I do? And how can I get out there? So right now in the short term, our goals are probably within the next 1 to 2 weeks is to have a website up and running. So anybody that has any kind of expertise in that can help in that process, because it can't just be a couple people. All of us have our lives and have stuff up to here. So we can do as much as we can do, and we don't all have those expertise. So that's one of the things we need in the short term, because in order to then also get yard signs out to get that word out, we need a website so that we can have a QR code to put on those yard signs. So, and the other is just getting the flyers out, whether it's, getting people to commit to taking a couple streets, take your street and a couple other streets, just to get that word out. So anybody that's here, there's meeting notices on the back table. There's also a sign up sheet if you can sign up. And when we call you that you can, be willing to help, you can do it on your time, what time works for you. But we need people to get their hands dirty at this point. So, and one positive note there was the executive committee meeting for the new authority this afternoon. And it's one of the agenda items had so many different additions to the agenda, where several other of the committee members were passing along, whether it was composting programs in Coral Springs, or several others where these members are looking out to all these other sustainable methods of getting rid of solid waste. So it's very good to see. It's
very encouraging. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Debbie, for all your time and commitment to it. Really appreciate it. Any other board reports? Seeing no other board reports, council member comments.
Yeah, I'll go real quick.
Okay.
First off, thank everybody for coming. We want to hear from you, and I'm glad you all decided to participate. Just some informational stuff coming up here first. We have hazmat at the barn on the 27th of April. Great place to get rid of old used tires, paint, electronics, etc. You don't even have to get out of your car. We have drug prescription drop off and shredding. You're allowed up to 4 banker boxes per family to have shredding. So it's a great way to get rid of old checks and contracts and things of that. And they shred it right in front of you. So it's a real easy thing to do. Speed poles are going to be coming throughout the town. There's one on 186th right now. That was the experimental one. We'll be installing 12 more around, the rest of this year. There'll be 3 per district. So I just want to alert everybody that they're coming. They also take data on high speed, low speed, traffic counts. There are many computers up there, and they're all solar powered. So I'm looking forward to that program. You know about the 5K run. It's on the 9th at 7:30. Register now. Get it out of the way. We look forward to seeing you. It's a lot of fun, and it brings everybody together. We have a barn dance on Debbie, if I get this wrong, or Kathy, the 16th of March. You can get tickets at the front office. They're $50 each. Did I get that right? Okay, great. And that's a lot of fun. Okay, at the barn, the ladies really show you a great time. They're great line dancers. So just thought I'd throw that out there. We have something new coming up. If I can find it. It's open play chess. It's going to be Saturday, March 30th, here at Town Hall from 10 to 2. Contact December Loretano Haynes for, I guess, if you need to register or you need more information about it. I don't know if there's any cost associated with it. No, it's free. I'm sorry, I misread it. It's free for all players of all ages and skill levels, and beginners are welcome, and they'll teach you how to play chess. So, and that's here at Town Hall. It'll be right in this room. Then we also have the free horse show on the 24th of February at the Equestrian Park at 8 a.m. Registration starts right before that, and I'm trying to find the paperwork from that. Registration begins at 8 o'clock. Classes begin at 9 a.m. And then you have competition on all levels, and it's all for youth up to the age of 18. So all of that's coming up this month. And we also have, this one got snuck in here. Broward Water Matter Days. It's on Saturday, March 9th at Treetops Park from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a really fun thing to take kids to, and you get free plants there. And you got to go to all the different stations and get your little ticket marked and stuff like that. But the kids have a blast because it's all oriented to show the younger generation how water matters, literally, in our ecosystem and our environment. And I'll wrap it up with that, Mayor.
Great, thank you. You'd like to go next?
I got two quick items. Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming out tonight. I don't know how many of you knew Vince Valletta. Vince was a resident over here in Sunshine Ranches, and he's one of the early home builders. He had been very actively involved in the Sunshine Ranches HOA, but he was also a commissioner on the Central Broward Water Control District. They're the ones who manage all the canals out on this side of town. Vince was also involved in the drainage committee here in the town. Vince ran for mayor. Vince had Southwest Ranches very close to his heart, and he spent most of his life trying to deal with the drainage issues when he wasn't flying the aircraft. We're going to dedicate the canal. We don't name too many. You don't see names of people on too many things in town. But we thought that the appropriate thing to do to recognize Vince and to memorialize him is to name the canal out in front of where he used to live, in front of his family home. We're going to do that on February the 24th at 9 a.m. That's 2 Saturdays from now, 9 a.m. And it will be at the corner of, let me make sure I get it right because I said it wrong once, Luray and Hancock Road, southeast corner of Luray and Hancock, right in front of where he used to live. That was item number one. Item number two. So I had a conversation with Keith this week. You know, a lot of the county commission are running for office right now. And of course, this is the best time to talk to them about our goals and objectives. And when I'm hearing now that the incinerator industry, which are engineering firms and construction companies, are starting to fill their coffers, the county commissioners, with campaign contributions. That's how they get their say. I really think we ought to bring them out here. And I've asked Keith if he could work with Russell to bring each one of them out, starting with Stephen Geller, to talk to us so we can reinforce our position on zero waste and the community's opposition to incineration. So if you guys agree, Keith can start things rolling and bring them out. Now, I understand Nan Rich won't be here for a while. She just suffered an injury, knee surgery. So it might be, a month or so for her, but I'd like to get them rolling so that we can present to them our position on this.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much agree.
All right.
You all good with that?
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
Bob.
Thank you. All right. I guess it's a pause for Good job, Bob. All right. Not an
Or in
introduction to me.
anticipation of you.
Or in anticipation of me. Thanks, folks, for coming out tonight. David Kaczynski, Vice Mayor until November, and Council Member District 4. I'm going to begin my discussion about the traffic enforcement. It's my monthly report of traffic citations within the town. From January, District 1, Davie Police issued 7 citations. 3 of those were speeding, all on Griffin. District 2, 5 citations, 4 were speeding, all on Griffin. Now we come to District 3, where the numbers start increasing. 42 citations issued. Of those 42 citations, 22 were speeding. And of those 22, 14 were on an interior road, 172nd. So the remainder would end up being on Griffin. So of those 14 are speeding on an interior road. The reason I'm getting to this is the interior roads are what I'm getting the calls about speeding. And I don't think there's a council member up here that their number 1 phone call they get is about speeding. Mine definitely is number 1. District 4, there were 122 citations issued for the month of January. Of those 122, 107 were speeding. And out of 107 speeding tickets, only 5 were on an interior road on Sterling. So we had discussed, I guess, in the last meeting about asking Davie Police to increase enforcement on the interior roads. And just this week, I noticed much more police presence on the interior road. When I left 2 days in a row, I saw Davie Police on Lou Ray, and as I was coming home, I saw red and blue lights on Hancock. I know Davie Police is doing their job. I want to thank you guys. Great, great job. In addition, we're asking for an increased enforcement on those interior roads. And there's a fund that's part of our budget that has yet to be touched, and that is overtime for Davie Police. And I'd like to ask some of that money to be applied to enforcing the speed on our local roads, our interior roads. So something that I believe is very, very, very important. Moving on. Chrissy Brownlow, president of Sunshine Ranches HOA, noticed that she's trying to get funds for the education board. So she was thinking, people give 1,000 here, 1,000 here. So she calls up Tommy Crivello, local realtor, and anticipating $1,000, she calls him, hey, can you drop off some money for the ed board goes to the scholarships. She gets a phone call from town hall. Tommy didn't give $1,000. Tommy gave $2,500. I haven't heard of a donation like that from an individual in our town.
Yeah.
So I really want to applaud Tommy and give him recognition for that donation. It's very, I'm just set back by that. We recently approved surveying for resurfacing under the Tisdor project, transportation surface drainage on water rehabilitation program that our mayor initiated. Good job. Before these roads in Green Meadows and Sunshine Ranches can get started, we're still waiting on funds from Broward County. So that's the only thing that's really holding us back, is waiting for the distribution of funds from Broward County. The Comprehensive Plan Advisory Board met last night, and one of the things that I was really impressed about is one of the things I asked to be addressed has to do with rewriting our dark skies ordinance. When I took a ride around with code enforcement in October, there were some limitations on what code enforcement can do with regard to enforcing our dark skies ordinance. And our dark skies ordinance goes all the way back to 2004. And it's one of the early ordinances for the town. It keeps our skies dark at night. The horses can sleep in the dark, and there's no bright lights to interfere with our animals, and it's peaceful. So there was a lot of input taken on that, and I imagine that's going to be coming up to an actual new ordinance that's going to be coming up before that board for a suggestion to the council. Next and last, Rural Arts and Design Advisory Board. This year is going to be adding a Halloween home decoration contest. So keep that in mind when Halloween rolls around. decorate your house, you can actually enter and get an award from the Rural Arts and Design Advisory Board. That kind of wraps me up. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. Jim.
Mayor, thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say that I have the privilege of representing the town on several county boards, and I attend 16 meetings a month for the town of Southwest Ranches, dealing with Broward County, dealing with the Homeowners Association, dealing with the boards that we have here. And for this past 3 years, it's been an honor for me. I have learned so much in the past 3 years. The bill in Tallahassee that the Broward League of Cities is fighting against is the homestead exemption bill. I don't know if most of you've heard about it, but they want to increase homestead exemption, the amount for each individual property. The Broward League of Cities says that that'll hurt the town, that it'll take money away from the town. And you have to look at both sides. I'm a resident and a town councilman, and I understand where the money needs to be and where it needs to go, but I'm also a resident to save the taxes. So if you have a chance to look at that bill, look at it real hard. It will come up for a vote. Vote your conscience the way you feel that you should. And, you know, I think everything will be all right on that. Secondly, I had the privilege of attending the Davie Police and Fire Expo this past weekend. What an organization. The fire department, the police department, the mounted police, the SWAT team, all of them were there. All of them had presentations, and the town of Davie really has an enforcement group there, medical group that's beyond none. It was really an enjoyable day. Councilman Hartman was there with his daughter, son-in-law, grandson. It was just a good day all around. It really was a great day, you know. This weekend also, I had the privilege of participating in a parade where we went by a neighbor's house, a resident's house, that's 90 years old, blew our horns, honked, waved, screamed, whatever it was, embarrassed the heck out of him for his 90th birthday. All right? He lives in Sunshine Ranches, Bob Parker. Been here since 1968. All right? I believe there was somewhere around 22 or 23 automobiles that showed up. Those that participated, thank you so much. For the Davie Police Department, their participation in it, for the town staff that helped organize it. He had a smile from ear to ear. Monday, I got to celebrate dinner with him. His birthday and my birthday are the same day. So we actually sat down, broke bread together, and it was a great, great weekend for me. I really enjoyed, you know. You heard David speak about the traffic. When I campaigned in 2020, my concerns were your concerns, and the major concern was traffic enforcement in the town. I was able, through the town administrators, to get a board together last year, the Safety and Traffic Board. We met probably 6 times. We don't need to meet all year, but about 5 or 6 times, and come up with a great plan to implement that we are currently doing to slow this traffic down. The signs you see back there to be put up as part of that. We're having a meeting on February the 15th right here at Town Hall. If you're interested, I'd love for you to come, love for you to participate, and we're going to discuss where these signs go. We're going to try to put these as much as we can, or I am going to try and put them as much as I can on the interior roads. I know that they're speeding out on Griffin. I know that's where most of the tickets are written. But I think that the interior roads need these signs to remind people to slow down. When they come into your area or my area, they're coming off a street that's 45, 50 mile an hour, and they forget to slow down. If we put them in those entranceways, that'll make a big, big difference for us. I really am looking forward to that to take place. And lastly, I like to say I have served you for 3.5 years. I have my name on the list there to run again. I guess you can see that. If any of you have any questions, don't hesitate to call. I think most of you know that I'm about as straight a shooter as you're going to find, and I'll get you an answer. It may not be an answer you like, but I will get you an answer. So, you know, I'd appreciate your vote come November. This will be I think, a pretty good campaign. I think that you're going to hear a lot of stuff going on. So, I just ask for your vote. I'd love to continue for the next 4 years after that to serve you. So with that, Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jim. All right, I have just a few items. I wanted to start out with a little bit of kind of sad news. I just want to recognize the passing of 2 ranchers that were here from the very beginning that have recently passed away, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for them. And that is Dennis Hugdahl, who was very active in Sunshine Ranches and was the treasurer for many years and worked there. And the other one is Don Vance out in Country Estates. So if you please just join me in a moment of silence. Great, thank you. All right, I just have a couple of quick updates to make because I know we've got a long meeting tonight. I did want to give an update. We're working on the South Florida Wildlife Center is having to find a new home, and we've got a piece of property that's actually owned by the school board, and it's an awesome connection between the two because they do a tremendous amount of education. And so we are working with the center, the Wildlife Center, and today Russell and I met with the Broward County School Superintendent, and I'm happy to report that everybody is very excited about this particular potential coming together and having them position or locate their center out on the property that School Board owns out. It's on Sheridan, actually. Just north of Sheridan at about 190th. So it's a great opportunity. It'll be a great learning opportunity for our students to have there, and the programs they have and all the kids that they are interact with on a regular basis. It's really a great, they're excited about it, the school board's excited about it, and we're excited about it. So looking forward to seeing that move forward. The other thing I just wanted to touch on is that we are continuing to move forward with our program. This year, this fall, we're going to be starting some new programs for our kids and our adults to get more involved in activities around town. As we've grown up as a town, it's important for us to do more and more as a community together. So we're going to be trying to start some leagues for the kids, softball, not softball, t-ball or soccer for the kids, and some things for our seniors as well. And as Gary mentioned earlier, one of the things that we're kicking it off first is the chess challenge, which some of our communities around us do. So we're super excited about it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the kids to get together, which brings the parents together, which I think will help us all to become a stronger community. So looking forward to that. All right, I'll stop there. All right, legal comments.
Sure, Mayor. I'm going to just address the assembly ordinance just
Thank
real
you.
quickly. Mr. Leal? Mr. Leal? Julio, can you please bring Mr. Leal to the back so you can quickly translate what I'll say real briefly? He can do it, right? Sorry, Mayor, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah, it's fine.
he's following. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Prior to, sorry, Julio. Okay, no problem. The council actually made it easier for people to have parties within Southwest Ranches. Prior to the ordinance change, residents were only allowed to have a maximum of 6 parties per year. They were required to get permits for assemblies greater than 30 people, and they were allowed no parties with amplified sound. Under the new ordinance, residents can have unlimited parties a year. There's no restriction on the number of parties that residents can have. The only restriction is on amplified sound. Now residents are allowed to have, which they were not allowed to have before, 2 parties a year with permits with amplified sound. That is the difference. And the amplified sound is the noise that would disseminate by loudspeakers, bands, etc., that would disrupt your neighbors. So now the ordinance is much more simple and lax. It does not require permits for a regular party for family members to come over. It only requires a permit if you're going to be blasting music that could be heard by your neighbors next door. Now you're allowed to do that 2 times a year with a permit, but it has to end at a certain time. I think it's 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday night. So I just wanted to address that because apparently there was confusion, and I just wanted to make sure everyone understood this council made the ordinance better for the residents and stopped the requirements that were there before. Other than that, Mayor, there's no further legal conversation.
Great. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you,
All right.
Keith. Thank you.
Administrative comments?
Yeah, just Mayor, I had just a few updates on a couple of programs and events the town's affiliated with, and in partnership with the town of Davie. Town of Davie is having a catalytic converter etching event on February 17th. So if anybody wants to have their vehicles catalytic converters etched, they just need to contact the town of Davie. You can contact Town Hall and we can provide you the contact information, but you have to make those appointments in advance, and then they'll go ahead and allow you to come out there. And that's held at the Town of Davie Public Works Garage, which is located on Orange Drive. Town of Davie is also having a community police academy that begins on March 5th. It's a 12-week long program. If anyone is interested in learning more about how the Town of Davie Police Department operates, they can sign up for that police academy. And again, as I stated, it's a 12-week long program. It's a pretty good deal. You get dinner included,
Yeah,
right?
it's fantastic.
So if anybody's
Been through
interested
it.
in that.
It's an amazing program.
Yeah. The last thing I just wanted to bring up is that we have a few vacancies on some of our advisory boards, namely our newly created Zero Waste Advisory Board. So if anybody is interested in serving and assisting your fellow residents in our community and making it better by doing some public service there, we have appointments available for the Zero Waste Advisory Board, and also the reformulated Public Safety and Traffic Committee. We do have one vacancy on that particular committee. Their first meeting is next week. So if anyone is interested in serving on any advisory boards, please contact the town clerk's office. You can fill out an advisory board application online, submit it, and please, we'd love to have your participation.
Great.
If you can come up to the, if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
Just very quickly. Hi.
Ed Gonzalez, Holity Trail. For those of us who might not know what the etching is that because they're stealing the catalytic converters? Are they going to put some type of
Yes.
serial numbers and
Correct. I believe they put the VIN on there, and it helps if there's a recovery there.
recovery.
Right. Correct.
okay, I wasn't sure what it was, but that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a hot
Thank you, Mayor.
commodity amongst the crooks.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the item that we moved up. Gary, I think you have a few introductory comments on this.
Yeah, I'd like to have some talking points here. I know, first off, I want to thank you all for coming. I have a copy here of the last workshop we had on code enforcement, and that was September 14th, 2023. And basically not much happened since then. And then I brought it up at the previous meeting with some ideas and suggestions. And I've got about 100 people here who are going to probably tell me a lot of different opinions on that. So I think that's really good. And that we need your input. We're trying to put something together. First thing I want to mention is none of this that we do up here tonight, is carved in stone. We're not passing any resolutions tonight or anything like that. We want input. And that's really the crux of it. And so we're all working towards that. But I want to point out a few things first that I think will answer some of the questions that you may have without having to come up to the mic. But then on the other hand, if you want to come up to the mic, and that's fine also. But and I'm going to be reading for notes, so I apologize with not looking up at all the time. We're at this point, due to the legislation from the state of Florida, they put us in this situation a couple of years ago by stopping the ability to be anonymous for code complaints. All right, I am proposing proactive on 2 new situations, which I will mention further, not the entire code requirements, which is rather quite large. There's a lot of misconception that I will attempt to clarify. First, a recap of the current proactive items. We have 5 items: dark sky, fill and grading, overgrown lots, bulk trash, and potholes on private roads. And we have, just so everybody understands, we have approximately 62 miles in our town of private roads, so it's a lot. The 2 additional items I think that would be added would protect our lifestyle for future generations to come. We are not expanding the code department to implement any of these items. I will mention shortly. We will be taking the handcuffs off a code department on very significant areas that are affecting our lifestyle negatively. Second, the only difference between reactive and proactive is who is the complainant. The town is the complainant if it's proactive, and an individual is if it's reactive. Does everybody agree with that up here? So I'll make sure I'm on solid ground here. Unfortunately, multiple residents come to all of us, myself in particular, I can't speak for the other council members, but I can speak for me, with neighbors' code violations that affect them. I usually get 2 to 4 a week. And some have merit and some don't. And ones that don't have merit, I let them know that. And I'm not going to go any further with it. Some have more, and then we take it to the next level. Here are the 2 suggested items that I'm thinking for, and this is only suggestions on my part, and I'd love to hear it from you guys and from the council, to go proactive and for future of our town. And this was for the future of our town. Number 1, our right-of-ways. Our right-of-ways are clear zones for traffic that also serves as multi-purpose trails. Residents are putting plantings and shrubs and other plant material in the right-of-way that are blocking all passages and pushing riders and walkers and golf carts, etc., out onto the roadway. This is very prevalent in Rolling Oaks where I live. This is where I came up with this because I walk Rolling Oaks. I'm sure those of you who live in Rolling Oaks have seen me walk up and down 178. This becomes extremely dangerous for everyone. The main street in Rolling Oaks gets up to 5,000 cars a day, 2,500 in, 2,500 out, according to the traffic counts. If this trend continues, there'll be no more horse trail. Riders will be back in blocked streets, it's already happening, or not being able to ride off of their property. I can easily see the equestrian lifestyle disappear in 10 to 20 years, just based on this alone. People will not be out riding. When I first moved here, 30 some odd years ago, it was a slow day when I had 10 to 12 horses pass in front of my house. I live right on the main drag. Now I'm lucky if I see one, and that's usually the one that's in my back pasture. Number 2, the second item. We all live on larger plots of land. Some property owners have monetized their land. Back pastures and yards are being rented out for landscape trailers, RVs, containers for storage items, work trucks, etc. These people store their vehicles, don't live here, usually have employees. They do not live here and come and get their trailers and trucks daily, adding to our security problems, poor road conditions, and it goes on and on. None of this applies to, by the way, I want to say this, none of this applies to ag property or equestrian activities when used properly. So I just want to emphasize that. But I wanted to bring out these talking points. It may answer some questions. I may have raised some more questions. I don't know. But I thought I would bring that out.
Good.
Mayor. So.
Good. Thank you, Gary. All right. We have a lot of folks here. I want to open the mic so that we can hear what it is, your feelings on this. This is, as Gary mentioned, the goal here is to get a feel for what our residents want. And that's why we want to hear from you, and that's why we really appreciate you coming out. I know there's a lot of things you'd probably rather be doing tonight than than listening to, to this meeting and going through this process, but it sincerely appreciate you coming out. So no specific order. Please just feel free to come up to the mic. And what I will ask is the one thing, or the two things is, number one, let's keep to the 3 minutes so that everybody has the opportunity to talk. And second, you got one shot at the mic. Okay, well, it's not going to come back 2 or 3 times. All right. It's 2 minutes?
2 minutes. And anybody
Can't
named
talk
Kathy
in 2
is not
minutes.
allowed up.
Yeah, right. Me of all people, I did too. Anyway, I want to thank all of you. I think everybody up there, we're friends, we're neighbors. We've agreed on a lot of things. We've disagreed on a lot of things. And I think the beauty of this small town is that at the end of the day, we're all still neighbors. And that's really worked well. A lot of gossip and information came out of this. And I think that before, and at least you've said now, should not come to a vote tonight. And that was really what I came here for. We are not ready for a vote. There are so many questions that what you said brought up, Gary. Right-of-ways, easements. We don't even have a clear path on that. Last month, the land behind me on the canal was an easement. And this month, it's owned by the town of Southwest Ranches. So it changes. And I came to the meeting where you talked to the property appraiser and they said, oh, we don't do that. So easements, and I think I know what you're talking about, but my fear is a blanket statement like easements or right-of-ways. It's going to have to be discussed more. It's going to have to be put in writing before we go to proactive code enforcement, because it's a slippery slope when you start putting more and more government into our personal lives in a small town. And I Googled, I can look at my time, I Googled a lot about proactive code enforcement, and it really wasn't addressing some of the small town issues. And I get it, you guys are targets, but I don't think that proactive code enforcement is the answer to taking that target off your back and you having to turn everyone in. The other issue, it was, help me out, guys. Thank you. Commercial vehicles. Again, Gary, we've talked about this. Commercial vehicles, same thing. It has to be in writing, and you showed me some things in writing, and in that writing, it's not laid out clear enough to make a vote. To make a vote and say, we want more proactive code enforcement, because we've discussed privately, and several of us up there have discussed the different nuances of what constitutes a commercial vehicle. And just because common sense dictates one thing maybe is technically a commercial vehicle, but common sense it's not, everybody doesn't deal in common sense. So I think we need to look at this more before any kind of a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hello, guys.
Yeah.
Let me get the mic right. One of the things that is I've lived down here forever, since the 80s. I mean, this place was so rural that I could land my aircraft right where I-75 is. I had a runway and I would land there and take off. And I've seen the town change. And before that, we were not even regulated at all. Now we've become a town and we have some regulations. The reason I moved down here is because where I lived before in Miami, the code enforcement people drove us insane. We didn't like it. They made our lives miserable. This is like a cancer. You say 2 things now, and then 4 things, and then 7 things, and who knows where this is going to go. I know 3 of you are up for re-election, so I wanted to point out that we support you, but if we see this town change to what it was in other areas, we don't want a West End, we don't want a Pembroke Pines, we don't want any of that stuff. We want to be left alone. And every citizen here has a right to file a complaint if there's an issue going on, and you have the right to follow up on that complaint and take care of it. So we don't need any more regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Who's next?
Hello, I'm Joseph Ansbaugh. I live off 163rd Avenue. Obviously, on the subject of proactive code enforcement, I'm not 100% for proactive code enforcement. I feel as if the residents of Southwest Ranches are more than capable to make their complaints and their concerns with their neighbors, see things that don't fit with them, like to your points with the right-of-ways being blocked and things of that nature, commercial vehicles going in and out. I feel like that's more of something that the neighbors should come to agreement with between themselves. If they have issues, then they could bring it to the town's attention rather than the town essentially, I don't want to say bullying, but some residents may feel that they are bullied in that fact. And I think that with having The residents kind of govern themselves in the sense. It gives us our freedom, like how we've had it since before we were a town in year 2000, which, I'm a longtime resident. I grew up here. I went to Hawksbluff Elementary. I have my business here. I have my family here. I want to continue to do so. And that's why I'm here tonight. First time, nervous, but
welcome.
I'm here for you guys. So
Good.
I
Glad you made
appreciate
it
you
out.
all. And thank you.
Thank you.
How you all doing? Thank you for having me today. Oh. Ed Flores, 5801 Southwest 210 Terrace. And I just want to say that I'm totally, again, everybody knows me here and I'm friends with all of you guys, totally against pro code enforcement here. That's no freedom here. You start with that and then you're going to go and take something else from us, and I'm totally against it. When I was a first sergeant in the Army, Jim would know this, and let's say that you're the consul in country estate, I keep my dirty laundry over there and I take care of it over there. If you can't do that, then you cannot be a consul person. Because when I was a first sergeant, I took a lot of soldiers out of jail. Not only that, but I took care of my men and never went to the lieutenant colonel. I guarantee you it never went up there because I took care of it. So if you're a consul person, guess what? Take care of your dirty laundry there. And then if you can't handle it, then you talk to the mayor. But that's the way I look at it. All right. So I'm totally, I'm not a good speaker, but I can get stuff across. And you all know me. All right. And I'm here every single meeting here, HOA. I'm always everywhere here. And you know that. I've been here for a long, long time. Okay. So totally against code enforcement. If you have a problem with somebody, as a council person, go there, try to fix the problem. If you can't do that, then you cannot be a council person. You can't, all right? Because if I didn't do a good job as a first sergeant, guess what? I will be a sergeant first class, back to E7. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Romy Judy, 18001 Southwest 60th Street.
Thank you.
As Rolling Oaks. I came here and live in Southwest Ranches since 2008. We have a horse farm and we love rural rights and the life we live here. I think it's very important that we don't ruin that with too many codes and enforcement. I agree with every single person that was speaking right now. And I came tonight because it frightens me a little bit. Because I choose to come and live here. I'm originally from Switzerland. I lived in a country like Haiti, and I see what can happen to different countries. I think Southwest Ranches is unique. We are beautiful, and I feel if we have our neighbors as our friends, we go much further. I think the community that we have doesn't need that we have all these rules and regulation. It will only make people bitter against each other. The other day, I was alone at home because everybody else left to a horse show. Every single neighbor called me and said, you know, you can call us day and night. 6 houses around us and farms told me that. And this is what I love about Southwest Ranches. I think this is what we need to preserve. I think it's so terribly important that we use common sense and not rules and regulation and try to not be nice to each other. I understand what you said, and we have horses, and it's sad when you cannot go riding with the horses outside and so on. But I do think by sitting down, talking to neighbors and so on, we can find solution. And I would like to thank all of you, and I would like to thank all of you that spoke tonight. We need to keep this town rural. Please all help us.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mac Rivenbark. I live at 6800 Appaloosa Trail in Southwest Ranches. I've been living here for about 10 years now. Would this code be done by a third party, or will it be done by the current code?
Current.
So this is like sicking dogs on us. That's really what it is. It's like sicking dogs on us when you put proactive. And everyone knows what comes out of a dog. Only one thing. Okay? Everyone knows that. All right. The town's code department does not have enough time to take care of its current issues and had to actually hire a new person, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true?
They recently did.
That is true. They could not take care of their current issues and had to hire someone else. Now you're asking for more issues to be brought to them. Once someone is given a citation, would they not have to go through the town's code department to get the citation expunged? This will even be more work for an already overwhelmed department, code and legal. Thank you, sir. Whoever votes for this has no intention of keeping this town rural, and they clearly do not represent how most of the homeowners of this town feel. A town council member said he wants to give me a citation for keeping my lights too bright. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. How do you think I keep people from walking up to my greenhouse, my business, my family, my home, my expensive cars? How do you think I keep people walking up from them? By having bright lights. So bright, I was in the Marine Corps. The light's so bright that when you come in my yard, I can see you to shoot you. That's how light my bright lights are. Dark sky, you want dark skies, go to Montana. Dark so horses can sleep, you gotta be kidding me. You want it dark so horses can sleep, come on. Catalytic converters are being stolen. Bright lights stop that. My best friend had 2 stolen off of his car in 3 months. And he has a street light underneath him. As a town, do you really want to go to court fighting some of these proactive ideas? This is not keeping rural. Don't we want to fight more important issues like how to come up with the $200 million for water pumps to get water out of our town from the flooding? Because the town has passed so many laws to make it easier for you to get permits for developers and builders to
All right,
develop
Mac,
land, which
Mac.
is going to help increase the flooding for all of us.
Please, appreciate what you're saying, but we're trying to keep it down so everybody has a chance to speak, okay?
Violations are reported as
Sir?
mentioned.
Sir?
I say no.
Please
to
be
proactive.
respectful
Thank you.
to everyone
I
else.
say no to proactive.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next?
I came for another purpose, but as long as I'm here, I'm against proactive. I could sit down now, but that's not my style. As everybody else has said, the town should be rural, and having if you'll pardon the expression, I know this is an overused term, having a Gestapo out there riding around the neighborhood trying to find problems in order to justify their existence. Back in the day when I used to do some consulting at the county, we used to call that empire building. And what that ends up doing is you end up with a department that has a purpose to begin with, but then we need somebody else, and we need somebody else, and let's go find some more violations, and we need somebody else. So we end up with an empire in the code enforcement department where we now have a staff of 20 people going out and making it so that it is impossible for us to live in the manner in which we intended to live, and I've been living for the last 35 years. Thank you very much for your time. Am I over or am I under?
You're good.
Oh, I'm still under. The only other thing that I'd like to suggest is, as far as code enforcement and the way it currently works, at least my experience recently, is I'd like to see more bringing a neighbor to meet with another neighbor rather than issuing a code violation, so that the neighbor can in fact talk to the other neighbor and say, hey, I don't like what you're doing. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I'll take care of it. Rather than, issuing fines and all this other hoo-ha, let's bring it up. Now I'm out.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. If you're going to speak, if you could maybe get in line a little bit so that we just move it along a little faster. Thank you.
Alessia Ais, 6540 Melaleuca Road. This is gonna be pretty short, but really clear. I just want to say that as personal experience, I come here with my family on behalf of Bruno Happy Dogs to say that code enforcement clearly does not work, and at this point, it's already an abuse. Southwest Ranches, how my neighbor said, should be a peaceful community. But from my experience, I just see unfairness, abuse of power, and racism. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I agree with all my neighbors that I just heard, especially him when he say we don't want neighbors against other neighbors. And this proactive, it's not working for the spirit of our city. We didn't came to this country to be in a tyrannic measurements, and I think you should trust your citizens instead of limiting everything or creating rules and become like a homeowner association. We don't want to become Weston. We don't want to become in a homeowner association. We want to preserve our liberties, our peaceful lives in our beautiful houses and with animals, and with preserving a good relationship with a neighbor. If you continue not only with this one, but other, let's say, ordinance that are against our freedoms, we are not going to agree. We live in a time where it's so devised and where we pay attention to so many details that one of these topics is going to bring a lot of people against. And I have personally a neighbor who is obsessed with me and creates so many, she complained so many times, and I received so many notice of violation, all that they went disregarded, that I built even a great relationship with Julio Medina and with the other town of members. For me, it was great because it put me close to my town, but with here. But this is not what we're looking for, to put neighbors against other neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I'm the last. Well, you asked for public opinion and you got it. And it makes me so proud to be a member of this town because we still have that rural spirit. We are still here. I was part of the inception of this town over 20 years ago. And I remember the Sun Sentinel article written in the year 2000 that said, this is the last frontier where we come not to be in an HOA, not to be ruled by code. And this is so empowering to hear the people still feel that way, and that we have a council that listens to us and doesn't overpower us. And thank you, and God bless all of you for keeping us rural. And I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
Mary Gay Chapels, 5901 Southwest 160 Avenue. It used to be called Renegade Road. And why? Because when I moved here, there were 10 families, what is now known as Southwest Ranches. I can even name the 10. They're all gone now. I'm the last nasty left. But let me tell you, you can't do this. You got to back off. You got enough in your charter. You got enough in your rules now. You can enforce it if it's out of control. I know that if people, I have 660 feet by 660 feet of easement on 3 sides. They're clean. They don't have any trees. I love trees. I don't have any trees there for the horses to ride or the kids to walk. When somebody gets a building permit, you need to stop them ASAP. Don't put anything in the easement or the swale or whatever you want to call it. As far as people with trucks and cars and all that other stuff, you have the rules there. If you're going to enforce it, enforce it. You don't need to be proactive and go up and down the street. And when you see somebody with 10 vehicles in their yard, you're citing them and then have to check to see if they're all in their name. When in reality, maybe it's 2 families there or they're married. I know in my family, I got 3 or 4 different names on those cars. So my point is, just let us live the way we were before we became a town. We wanted to be neighborly. That was what we did. We used to have parties out there. We had spaghetti parties. I have it on 8mm film because that's what we did. We didn't have phones. We didn't have anything like that. Huh?
Thank you.
Oh, my time?
Yeah,
You need a
sorry.
beeper for me.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for coming out.
Hi, good evening. I'm Joseph Altschul. I live on 164th Terrace. Lived in Southwest Ranches for 20 years. Lived in Weston for about 15 years before that. And I know when I came to the ranches, I was so excited, you know, to not have HOAs, to not have code enforcement, to not have all the rules and regulations that people leave places like Weston for. And then I noticed about 5 years ago, things changing. And I noticed, you know, as you spoke about people monetizing their property. And I see that in my neighborhood. You know, I live in a neighborhood that's 1-acre lots predominantly. We're not talking about, you know, 2, 3, 5-acre lots. You're talking, you know, not large lots. And I see people in the last 5 years, when I say monetizing, converting their yards into truck shops and machine shops, putting multiple mobile homes on their properties and renting them out for low-income purposes, where you have, you know, 3, 4, 5 different families living there, 15 cars parked, and that is happening more and more. And so while I listen to everybody who, and I'm sure that what I'm saying is contrary to what everybody else who has spoken is saying, and at the same time, I'm nostalgic for the same thing that they're nostalgic for what we came to Southwest Ranches for. But what we are becoming is not what we were. And so it's great to be nostalgic, but things are changing. And I read an article within the last 2 weeks in the city of Hialeah. They passed regulations now. Then they said, we're not the Wild West. And they had the exact same issues of enforcement due to RVs and boats being rented and creating the situation that I'm talking about now. This problem of Hialeah has come to Southwest Ranches, and we can talk about it or we can ignore it. No one is asking you to change the laws or change the rules. People talk about neighbor getting along with neighbor. I don't think you're going to get along with your neighbors more by making you report on your neighbors. So for some things, you need to have proactive code enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Dacton, 6120 Southwest 173rd Way. I am against proactive code enforcement. We have been bullied in the past by neighbors. It's nice to know who's complaining on you, so then you can go and file other charges against them when they do this. I feel fairly confident to say that I probably put more miles on horses out in these streets daily than most people. I do see what you were talking about, but I really think that there's other things that could be done, other rules, other laws, other regulations that we could go after. The same thing with trailers and trucks. You say it's not going to affect ag, but when it comes down to it, it's going after certain people that are breaking rules or certain people that have ag. So it's really important that we don't allow the town to have any more leeway to come after its residents. It's why we live out here. And really, we should be watching. You know, 3 of you are up for re-election, and we're all out here watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Herman Stubbe, 59th Court. Can you hear me? There we go. Herman Stubia, 59th Court. So I agree with everybody that has a position against proactive enforcement of the codes. One of the reasons I'm going to expose is different than most people. I think that we pay enough in taxes to have those taxes used against us. I think that would better be suited to protect us from crime. We mentioned people getting their catalytic converters stolen. Protect us from coyotes that are, ravaging our livestock or pose a danger to our children. And so let's put that money to better use than to harass our own citizens. Yeah.
Thank you.
Richard Rojo, 166 Avenue. So I had no intention to come here tonight. I was actually, just right before coming here, I was actually going to go to Costco to fill up my gas. And my wife said, honey, they're having this meeting today about this code enforcement. And briefly, I just kind of looked at it. I'm like, wait a second. So you got my attention, right? I think the vast majority of the people here that have talked, they have been against this code enforcement. We're not Weston. We're not Pembroke Pines. There's a reason why people want to come here. They want to come to Southwest Ranches. There's a simple reason. It's because we are rural. It is probably the one city or town in South Florida that can say that. I understand there's concerns. I understand there's issues. And I think there's a way that we can civilly resolve that. Having more government is not the answer in this situation. I don't want Southwest Ranches to become a bureaucracy. I have seen that and I don't like it. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm here. I've been here for about 10 years and I'm sure the rest of the people here will probably say the same thing. The reason why we're here and the reason why we're staying here is because we do have that rural lifestyle. I don't care to be Weston. I can go to Weston if I wanted to, another Weston. This is not Weston. And I hope you guys hear what the vast majority of the people are saying. We don't want a Weston. Please don't take that from us. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, residents, my fellow veterans. Thank you for your service. I'm a property owner on 185th Way. I am not a resident. However, I love this town. I lived on the edge of Sunshine Ranches for 18 years prior to moving out west, which also borders Southwest Ranches. I'm now in Laguna Isle, but I am a property owner in your town. I keep a clean facility. I'm a rancher. I'm also a farmer. And I heard about this thing today, just about 6 o'clock, I got a phone call that now there's a proposal that you might be limiting the amount of vehicles that are kept on properties for use. So early on, when there was a talk about the town becoming an independent town, I asked some of the founding members, why don't you just merge with the town of Davie? I was very active with the town of Davie. And they told me, well, we want to be different. We want to be different from Davie. We want to be independent. We want to preserve the lifestyle we have. This kind of legislation is not preserving that desire of those early founding members. And I knew many of them, by first name basis. They would be surprised to see what's going on here. And I don't even know how you would enforce it. It's unconstitutional. How would you actually enforce this thing? I have no idea how you can enforce this when it goes against unreasonable searches of people's properties. You're going to actually walk on someone's property and count vehicles? How do you plan on doing this? Have you thought about this? So I think you really need to go back to the Constitution. Go back to the oath you took. And before you legislate anything, ask yourself the question, am I holding up to the Constitution with this legislation I'm about to propose or vote? And we're watching. Everybody's watching what you're doing. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Miguel Suarez. I live right there on 185th Way in Country Estates. If
you couldn't tell. It's my first time out here. I wasn't supposed to come, but my mom, Anna Valladares, she's a realtor, and she's very active in the Facebook community that had a lot of people come out here. So some of you might recognize the name, right? I'm not on the communities. I was not planning on coming over here, but her and I have only been here since last year. Everybody here, is speaking about being here for a decade, multiple decades. So maybe my opinion carries a little bit less weight. But I was living in Hialeah and she was living in Miramar, and we took a huge risk coming out here. I sold my house and she sold her house, and we bought the property that we're at now. Mostly just to be there with our family, to be able to do everything that we wanted to do without having to deal with the regulations of our HOA at the time. And quite frankly, it's something that scares me a lot. I'm very much opposed against proactive enforcement. It doesn't seem like it makes much sense to me. It seems like we have bigger fish to fry, quite frankly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Howdy, gentlemen. Doug McKay, 4851 Southwest 130th Avenue, Southwest
Welcome, Mayor.
Ranches, and the former mayor. Mayor, vice mayor, council members, you're going to cause me to come out of the closet. Okay? If you head this direction, you're going to cause me to come out of the closet. I can run for 2 of your seats up there, one or the other, but just a heads up. Bad idea, don't do it.
John Garotti, 162nd Avenue. I'd love to tell I'm so proud of this town. I'm so proud of all you guys that came out here. I know you guys don't all know me. These guys all know me. You've been dealing with me for 20 some odd years. Now, I'm so happy I'm not the only one. I've actually come to learn a lot by standing up here and defending myself. Here's the problem. Steve, I've told you many times, let's get ahead of the problem. Mr. Altschul has a problem. He's a resident. His opinion is very valid, but you know how you fix this? Not by throwing the book at him. Don't throw a fine at him. That doesn't fix anything. You know what you do? You communicate. Somehow, some way, you get your residents together and you inform them. I've said many times, I will volunteer in 2023, 2024. 2021, there's been laws passed that you guys aren't used to. Home rule. You guys love using this terminology, home rule. It's the way you rule a home, right? It doesn't work the way you guys know it, as it has for 30, 40 years. The whole world has changed. So if you have self-employed business owners that live in their home, we have laws to protect these folks now. We have been scrutinized for this. Lack of communication. I speak with the town attorney now. We couldn't even see each other. If you communicate and you put a foot forward to learn your town, learn your rules, you learn a lot. You can inform your residents instead of penalizing them. Throwing a fine at them, Gary, I know that's your favorite topic, and it could work, right, in your world. But you know what? When you moved out here, it's not the same town that you moved into, because not everybody has a 9-to-5 job. People, I have a dog business. Bruno's Happy Dogs is being scrutinized. They're here taking their time out and wondering, did I move to the right country? They're not from here. They're from Venezuela. I was born in the United States, so you ain't getting rid of me. But let me explain how a lot of these different countries and different folks that are here that are being represented, they don't want to be ruled in a way where a code enforcement officer, you need rules, you need regulations, but let's be smart. Let's be rural. Thank you, guys.
I think you turned it
I
off.
think you pressed the button to shut it off.
Help is on the way.
Yes, yeah.
It's on. Hello? There you go. Debbie Aiton, West Palomino Drive. I emailed you guys earlier. I had a conflict. I was able to resolve it and come here. We moved out here in 2001. When we first were married, we tried to move out here. We couldn't afford it. The day we bought our house out here, we were so thrilled to move out here because we wanted to get away from Davie because of all the regulations and things that were changing. We don't need more regulation. We have regulations on the books. Somebody has a fence in the wrong place, We all know that the town is adept at going to talk to people about fence issues. We have a problem with people in the driveway. We have a rule about that. We have rules that are already in place for all of these things. Enforce the rules that we have. Don't make more rules. We don't need more rules. We don't want, nobody living out here wants these rules. Nobody wants to deal with extra enforcement. There's a city east of us, way east of us, closer to the beach. The joke is if you paint your door, code enforcement's gonna come put a sticker on it because they think that you changed your door. Then you have to prove to them you just painted the door, you didn't change the door, because their code enforcement is so out of control. You say you only want to do it for one or two things, what's going to happen is it's going to turn into, oh, now we're going to add this, then we're going to add this, then we're going to add this. There's people maybe that are living in homes, I know of somebody right now, where their fence is too far forward. It should have been moved, but they didn't know that when they bought the house. If someone goes to them and addresses to them that that fence is too far forward and their landscaping needs to be moved, they probably don't even realize that that's the way they bought it. Nobody told them that. Address the issue with the people that is concerning. Don't address the whole town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I want to say again, this is an awesome evening. You all have come out and expressed your feelings. I think I speak for the whole council when I say this means a lot to us to be able to see everybody, to hear firsthand your feelings on it. You know, we're 5 residents up here as well, and we have our feelings on one thing or another, but a meeting like this is so good to really get, you know, a hand on the pulse of this town and what it's all about. I'm going to give some thoughts. A number of folks here said it's an election year, and we've got your eye on us, and I expect that, and that's good. I'm one of those guys that's up for election, but I expect you to have your eye on me whether I'm up for election or not. And you know what? You do. I know you do, because I run into you at Publix and you tell me you do. So I appreciate that, whether I'm up for election or not. I appreciate the fact that we're a small town, that we talk together, that we have these kinds of meetings when we need to, and that we communicate in a positive way. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I've heard tonight. I'll say before I even arrived at this meeting, I think Kathy is not here, but she put something on Facebook that said, hey, we're going to be talking about this. Email Steve if you have any thoughts on this. And let me tell you, my email inbox, it was full, and then the next day it was full again, and the next day it was full again. And I'll tell you that out of all those emails, and I don't know how many there were, I probably should have counted them, but I don't know, 40, 50, 60, it was full, trust me. There were 2 that were for proactive, and the rest were all. At the end of the day, you all have very strongly spoken that you like it the way it is. And as a mayor, or as I was on as a council member, my job is to represent you. My job is to speak for you. My job is to reflect what it is that you all want this town to be. And I heard that loud and clear even before I walked into this room, but you all certainly have reinforced it. So I think we're fine the way we are, and I'll just say that. I think we're fine the way we are, but I don't want to leave it there. So I'm not gonna vote for anything else being proactive, but I don't want to leave it there, because some other great points were made tonight, both tonight and in the emails that came to me. And I want to talk about those, if you'll indulge me just for a minute. This came up a few times. Several of you mentioned this, and it's something that I think is critically important, that when we have code issues with our neighbors, we need to talk to them. We need to talk to them. And I don't say that like you need to talk to them. I say that like I've had code issues with 2 of my neighbors over the 23 years I've been here, right? And both times, usually with a beer in my hand, I'll sit down and talk to them and say, hey, listen, I see what's going on here, and It's a code violation, and you know, and frankly, it's not that it's not that it's a code violation. It annoys me. There's a reason why the code is there, and it annoys me. And I got to say that in both cases, we had a good conversation, and they corrected it. Are they? And this is an important point. In one case, I'll say, did they get to where they're no longer in violation of the code? And the answer is no. To this day, they're still in violation of the code. But they did it in a way that it no longer bothers me. So what the heck do I care? What the heck do I care? You know? And we're great neighbors. We're great friends. And so to me, that should be rule one. And I'll tell you, if you were to come up to me and say, hey, Steve, I've got a problem with my neighbor, but I'm afraid to report them to code. The first thing I would say, and I can say this confidently because I've said it, I've been on this council 15 years. I've said it more times than I can count, probably above 100. The first thing I'm going to say back to you is, have you talked to your neighbor yet? That's the first thing I'm going to say. And I'll tell you that 9 out of 10 times, well, I'll say no, that's not where I was going. Sometimes they have, virtually all the times they have not, but 9 out of 10 times after I do that, I don't hear back again. Okay, because they've resolved it. So that's critical. That's number one, and I think that's how we are a community and how we stay a community, is by solving those things one-on-one. And I'm going to tell you that I'm better friends with my neighbors having had those conversations and having worked it out between the two of us than we would have if it had never come up in the first place, because we work together on something, so it builds a bond. But there's another side to it that I want to make sure, while we've got this group out here, I want to bring this forward. I think we do have a problem with code, and I'll tell you what it is. There are situations in our town where code is used as a weapon against your neighbor. It's not used to enforce, code. It's used as a weapon to hurt your neighbor. And that's a real problem. That's a real problem. That's why we're going to take a look at what you've got there, Paul. Because it happens, and you know what? It gives code a bad name. It gives this town a bad name, and it creates a lot of strife and a lot of stress that's totally unnecessary. And it's using the system that should be used for a positive way, and it uses it in a negative way. And that has to stop. So what I would challenge this, I've got some ideas, but at a future meeting we'll talk about them, but I would challenge the rest of the council to think about that element of it and come up with some ways to penalize those that are using code, using the town as a weapon to get at their neighbor for one reason or another. I just started thinking about this the last couple days. I have some thoughts. It's not ready for prime time yet, so I apologize that I'm not saying it. But if I say it, you're going to say, Steve, that's a crummy idea, And I don't want to go there. I'd rather have it well thought out, and then we'll get back together, and I'll tell you what those ideas are. But I think that's a serious problem in our town, and I think we do need to solve that problem. The last thing I'm going to say, and a couple of folks said some things, and I just want to correct it for the record, is that what we're talking about, and Gary said this up front, what we're talking about here is not changing any codes. Right. The discussion was whether it would be reactive or proactive. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. But I'll say this: we're and I'll finish with this. We're reactive, right? And we're all here because we do recognize that it's not perfect. There are issues with reactive, whether it's being used as a weapon, whatever it is, it's not perfect. But what we don't see is all the issues that would pop up if we went proactive. And I think that's the hidden thing and we don't need to find those out. I think we're fine the way we are, and I hope we stay the way we are. Thank you. David.
I have to add my own 2 cents.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and great comment. I really appreciate support that. Now, I don't know. There's some. I just want to educate folks. The reactive, proactive. Proactive means codes driving around. They see a violation, they cite you. Reactive means that if I see something that I know is a code violation, I have to put my name on it, on the complaint itself. That's reactive. Means that it actually takes somebody to make the complaint and put their name on there as the complaining party. Since the agenda came out, I've received many phone calls, and not one of those phone calls is supporting proactive. My fear is of a trickling into an increase of more and more proactive. And today, it only takes 3 votes to make something proactive. It's not unanimous. Our town was set up as reactive, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. When I was HOA president, I made many anonymous code violations through the anonymous provisions. Unfortunately, our governor made one of his priorities was to remove the anonymous code violation. But changing it into proactive, I think will be more dire consequences. I'm more of a limited government person. Keep the government out of us. And since this is like the more reactive, I'd like to reinforce and maybe see where the council stands on this. I'd like to reinforce our reactive code enforcement. I'd like to see if we can get a consensus to amend our charter to where we cannot go any more proactive. That's just something we can explore another day, something to think about. That's an idea that I have. Thank you.
Any other? Yeah,
Yeah,
Bob.
just a quick comment. So a week doesn't go by where the other side that's not here tonight, I think we had a couple of representatives of people that are proactive call me. Why does that house look like that? That's the way we are. Why do these kids run ATCs? I live on a private road. You can run ATCs on it. Why do these kids run ATCs up and down the road? They're allowed to. Talk to the parents if you have a problem with them doing donuts on your side yard, because that happened too. But what ends up happening is we have a new neighbor on our street who's spent $9 million on his house. He has a Western mindset. He expects the town to be, I have another neighbor who wanted streetlights. Why? They moved up from Miami, and Miami has streetlights. Why don't we have streetlights? Now, Mac makes a case for having lights, but streetlights, I don't know too many people who want that in our town. My answer every single time is, this is who we are. You're either going to need to adapt and become like the rest of us, or you're going to be miserable. So I ran on Keep It Rural twice, and honestly, I keep to my word on that. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to sit here and tell each and every one of you personally that when I get a complaint called in to me, all right, I go visit that person that the complaint was filed against, and I speak to them. There has been times when things have gotten resolved, but there's been times where they haven't, all right? And by not complying, it's messing with all the people in that area. All their neighbors are suffering from what they're doing, and Joseph happens to be one of them, and that's why, you heard from Joseph. He has a house where tractor trailers come in and out. He has a house there, same house, that's renting RVs out to people. I don't think any of you want that in your backyard, all right? It hadn't been resolved. It's not proactive to go after that. I'm not saying that we're going to be proactive to go after it. But if it's in your backyard, you better stop and think about it when it comes. Things are changing, and it's a shame. We're reactive. We're going to stay reactive. I understand that. I'm all for that. I live here. I want this town to be rural. But change is coming. So we have to come up with something, all right, tweak the reactive or tweak the reactive part of the code, rewrite it, do a little something, because if you don't, it's going to be in your backyard. I promise. A gentleman moved up here, it's in his backyard. May not be in yours, but we see it all over town. It's starting to spread. The main violation in this town is work without a permit, and we have a proactive stance on that because people are bringing in fill. When they bring in fill, what's it do to your property? Your property floods. If we didn't have that proactive, there'd be so many houses around here that'd be flooded because people bring in fill left and right. So that fill, being proactive, saves you, all right? It helps. And I know that you hate that word proactive, but we had to do something to stop it, and I think we did that. I think that's great. The second most violation, and I attend every code hearing. You can sit here and see me in the back every single time. The second code violation is unauthorized use of property, okay? This is people that's renting their property for tractor trailer storage, for boat storage, for car storage next to their neighbor. How many of you here would like a storage yard next to you? That's the number 2 complaint in this town right now. I sit here and hear it every time, all right? We're not proactive about it. We're reactive. We wait on a phone call. These are things you need to consider, all right? We have to figure out a way to stop it before it becomes a cancer. Right now it's starting to develop, and it's not in your backyard, but it's coming. So think about it. Let's see if we can come up with some ideas to stop it without everybody being afraid that we're going to have code driving around writing tickets. That's never going to happen. Never. Not as long as I hear it's not going to happen. Not as long as I live here, and I've been here since '85. So let's see if we can't come up with something to address these issues that are coming, this cancer that's starting to spread, all right, and still be neighbors. I like that idea. I love it. I do it every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I just want to say one other thing, Gary. I do appreciate that you that you brought this up. I think it's a great discussion for our town, our community, and I appreciate that you brought it to the forefront.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I didn't expect anything other than input tonight. You know, as far as that goes, and Jim, what Jim was saying is basically correct. I think people need to understand that there is a fear of retaliation for neighbor to neighbor. Everybody up here says we talk to your neighbor. Well, some people don't. You can't talk to, and we have been involved in court cases where that has come to fruition, unfortunately, and it's only getting more prolific as we go along. You know, so you may see a council member who's filing a complaint to protect a neighborhood or a series of neighbors, and maybe have their name on it, you know, or a staff member or something to that. I mean, it's not every situation gets solved with, hey buddy, how about a beer? You know, let's talk about the 25-foot cubic trailer that you just put right on the property line next to me, and I got to look at it every morning when I wake up. You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, not everybody responds like you all do. Okay. And so we have to deal with that because we are the last resort to get it fixed. So it lands in our doorstep, and sometimes we have to get involved. So I just want everybody to understand that, you know, it's obvious you guys don't want any more proactive. The last proactive thing that was added was was about 5-6 years ago. But it was when Mayor McKay was there. It was the overgrown lots. That was the last thing that we added to that, and so nothing's been added since, you know. And but we're slowly seeing the like Joseph said and Jim said, we're slowly seeing a different type of person who comes in who doesn't respect their neighbors, and that's the hard part, is getting along, you know, and having everybody on the same page. And sometimes that's a little difficult, and sometimes it's impossible, you know. So, and then we have to get involved.
Right, right. Absolutely. You know, I agree with what you're saying.
If I could, let me
sure,
add one more thing. Okay, just to give you guys an idea of what we all put up with. I've had my house shot up. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Okay, I've had my house egged. I've had paintball. I don't know who does it. It's in the middle of the night, and I've done nothing to deserve it, but because I'm a councilman and I sit up here, I represent the town. I had other council members have had their property destroyed to the tune of thousands of dollars. We're sitting up here. I'm not going to mention names, but they know, if they want to say who they are, that's fine. But there are repercussions all over the place, and I just want everybody to emphasize it. We don't sit there in some high throne or anything. We take a lot of risks that with this. I mean, we have people. Obviously, one gentleman wants brighter lights so he can shoot somebody. I know that he meant that as a joke, but there are people out there that are like that. And I've got like 3 or 4 of them that live around me, who think it's a shooting gallery out there. So, there's more to this than just talking to your neighbor. Everybody needs to understand that. And sometimes you're going to see a council member who'll be on a report that they had to report something that was a code violation. So I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, no, it is. Until you sit up here, you don't realize what Gary's talking about, but it's a reality. And we don't talk about it very much, but it is a reality. I will say this, and I agree with Gary that, I'm fortunate. I've got wonderful neighbors around me, and a beer and a nice conversation solved my problems, but that is not always the case. And that is what our code is there for. And I'm sure that I know that we have all in the situation where a beer and a handshake did not solve the problem. We did have to file the complaint because the individual that was incurring it was fearful that there would be physical retaliation against them. And so that's something we all take on sometimes. And unfortunately, that is a reality. But what's important to realize in my mind is that the code is there. And Joseph, like in your case there, we need to talk about that maybe a little bit, because I'm concerned that I know that you are an individual who is of high character and will do the right thing. And it concerns me that you have this issue that has not been resolved. And so I'm wondering if that is a shortcoming in our code, or what the situation is there. So I would love to talk to you about that. Because at the end of the day, our code is there meant for those situations. Our code is for compliance. That's why we have our code there. Not to get fines, not to be a penalty, not to be a weapon. It's there so that we can all live by the same rules that we all agreed that we wanted to live by living here in Southwest Ranches. That's all it is. And so when the situation that Gary's talking about, when there's somebody that doesn't want to live within those rules and refuses to live within those rules, then that's where code comes in. And so that's the side of it. I mean, I go back to the story of my one neighbor who, I don't care that he doesn't live within that rule, because he did it in a way that no longer bothers me. And I think that's kind of where we're at, is that we just, we want to be able to get along and not have this either a proactive, force coming down on us, telling us that, this little thing is wrong and that little thing is wrong. But on the other hand, we all want to be able to live in peace, the peaceful enjoyment of our own property. That's why we're out here, to be left alone, be freaking left alone and enjoy our property, right? So we need to be respectful for our neighbors. We need to, and I know I'm talking to the wrong crowd here, but if we are, well, except for George, maybe not. I'm teasing. That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke. No. But we really do need to be respectful for our neighbors and treat everybody with respect. I'll just stop there. I could ramble on for too long. All right. Any other closing comments on the proactive versus reactive? Thank you all for coming out. We do have actually the normal business of the town coming up. You're welcome to stay, but you're welcome to go. It's already late. So thank you for coming out.
Take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break. I think our 5 minutes are up. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order, please. And we are on
Item 9.
the original item number 9.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, entering into an interlocal agreement with Broward County for film permitting, attached here to as Exhibit A, authorizing the proper town officials to execute and any and all documents necessary and proper to effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Is there any public discussion on this item? George, anything? Seeing none, public discussion is closed. This is really a kind of a maintenance item, just working with the county on filming. So, all right, if you can please call the roll. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had a question. I couldn't find anything about funds or fees for the town.
Yeah, the ILA does not provide for that. I've actually asked the question when we had I don't know if you remember, when we had the roundtable with Senator Geller at Long Key. I spoke to the film commission chair, I'm not sure of her title, and really kind of asked to see if that was something that any other city is doing, because it's certainly something I would like to see if we could do it. She said no other city does it. If we tried to do it, basically, we would run the risk of any productions basically not being done in Southwest Ranches. It's something that they would not support. Certainly, we could impart our own fees to do that, but it would add an extra layer of through the approval process.
Well, just one other question then. I mean, I have come upon a couple of the TV productions out here over the years, but when I was growing up in New York, they make lots of movies in New York at night, and there's always police, there's fire, there's medics, there's all sorts of requirements. I know New York City makes a fortune on all that, and I'm not saying we should make a fortune, but do we have those scenarios where we're outlaying costs for Davie PD to be there for 4 hours, or that's not part of the discussion?
No, well, I can tell you that what we do is we carefully review the applications that come in. We want to make sure that they're not going to violate any of our, provisions of our noise and right. We don't want them to impact our neighbors. And I can tell you that probably 98% of these requests are things that are done internal to the property. If they were to request a shooting scene where somebody's driving down the street, we're going to tell them no, quite honestly. If they needed to have a detail or something like that for Davie PD, they would contract directly through Davie PD, and that would be a rate that they would pay directly to them.
Okay, good. So we won't be seeing any Tom Cruise or
well,
John Wick movies.
We've had some people here, some celebrities here for sure, in the music industry and things like that. A lot of it is commercials and that type of thing, which is pretty innocuous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council comment? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Item number 10 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, repealing Resolution 2024-12 and authorizing the issuance of a new purchase order by piggybacking off of the Florida Sheriff Association contract FSA 23-VEL 31.0, authorizing the issuance of a purchase order to Garber Ford in an amount not to exceed $55,000.00 to purchase a new multi-purpose vehicle for the town and providing for an effective date.
Have a
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on it. Any council comment on this item?
A heck of a good price. I've been looking at trucks. Good price.
It is a good price.
And it's a Ford.
And you're taking the
Yes.
words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's a Ford.
It
So.
doesn't matter. They're all about the same price right now. Very expensive.
Yeah.
Hurting my feelings.
Sorry.
I've had both.
It's the number one truck in the world. you know.
Any serious comments from the council? All right. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski? Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes. Is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a piggyback of the GSA contract, USGSA-GS-35F-0592S, for the issuance of a purchase order in the amount not to exceed $30,750.00 to Lenovo United States Incorporated for Lenovo laptops, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute all documents necessary and proper to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This item is, Emil, was budgeted and part of our normal replacement plan, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Great, thank you. Any council comment on this item?
I have a question.
Yeah.
One of my residents asked me about this expenditure because it was, we're looking on average 15 computers, and it's coming to, on average, $2,000 each. And a resident sent me a text with saying it's a similar computer for $629, and I just would like an explanation.
Yeah, well, Russell, I'll let you take
Yeah, certainly, Mayor.
It's a very valid question.
It's a very good question. You see these advertisements on BrandsMart and stuff like that, and you think you can get these laptops for very cheap, and you can, but not these particular ones. And the reason why is these come preloaded with Windows Pro, which is a higher tier operating system than you would get from your home established computers that you would buy at Best Buy.
Windows 11 Pro, just to be
Right.
clear.
I thought that's what I said. I'm sorry.
I said Windows.
Yeah,
Okay.
Windows Pro. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one. Two is essentially the biggest difference is that it's the support that we purchase from them. So we purchase a premier level of support from Lenovo for a 3-year period that provides for accident prevention. So if we drop the laptop, if it cracks, they'll replace it on the spot. Also on-site, technical repair, technical service to the laptop. You wouldn't get that if you bought it at Lenovo. I'm sorry, at BrandsMart. So it's a higher tier support that comes with it for 3 years, and then also the operating system upgrade. So right, and the other big component of this is that we are required per our agreement with the city of Tamarack to basically have the same computers that they have in their own environment. So in order for them to provide the support for these pieces of machinery, we have to have basically the same types of machines that they have in their environment. So that's why we're replacing them with these exact same spec computers.
I got to follow up. Like we did with the truck with the piggyback, is there a way that in the future we can piggyback on Tamarack when they make their purchases?
This is the exact same contract they use. This is
Okay.
the GSA contract.
All right.
Exact same.
Perfect answer. Thank you.
No problem.
Russell,
Yes.
I did not have a chance to look for your email on the questions I posed to you yesterday regarding do we have enough capacity in the the router we bought a year or two ago for the additional wireless capacity, because these are not your father's wireless anymore. They're much higher bandwidth requirements.
Correct. And so what these, first of all, these have a docking station that we would utilize with them that has a network connection to them.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Yep. That wireless capability is really when you're working from home,
Enough
working
said.
remote.
Enough said. Okay. Now, I validated your price with work, and what's driving up, other than the maintenance warranty on it, is they're fairly decent screens on them. They have fairly high-end processors as well.
Correct.
Now, I think I mentioned in my note to you that they should be good for 5 to 7 years. Usually replacement cycles are 3 to 5 years. These should go a little bit longer because they've got the capacity to go a little bit longer, a couple of years more.
Yeah, and that's certainly the case. But remember, after the 3-year support from Lenovo, they would be essentially out of warranty. We don't have to go ahead and surplus them after the 3 years. We can keep them on site and just hold on to them. But again, as part of our agreement with the city of Tamarack, we have to have the same replacement cycles essentially that they do.
So they replace every 3 years
Yes.
regardless?
Mhm.
That's not such a good policy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But price-wise, we pay a little bit less, but we order 3,000, 4,000 at a time. I'm getting one tomorrow, as a
Mm.
matter of fact. Same machine.
Yeah, yeah, we're only ordering 15 at a time.
Yeah,
15 this year and
yeah.
15 next year.
I have a question. What happens to the old ones?
Well, the old ones, we can, as I started to say, we can keep them as, as emergency laptops if we were to need them. But essentially, we have to follow our fiscal requirements here at the town, and we would surplus them, try to sell them on the open market and see what we can get for them.
Yeah, I would actually be concerned if we kept them because there's data and information on those laptops, and if they're just sitting in a closet somewhere waiting for somebody to use them, who knows? You know, if they'll be really handled properly and cleaned up properly.
They should be
I can
scrubbed
address
before they
that.
be used.
We do actually, once it's decommissioned, if you will, we do wipe them clean.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great, good questions. Any other council questions? Seeing none, any questions from the public? Come on, you guys, you're disappointing me here, you know? We wore you out earlier in the meeting, I guess. All right, public comment closed. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Mayor,
I
the
think
next,
these-
oh, I'm sorry.
You're reading my mind. Yeah, I think
Do
the
you
next
mind
two
if
we
we
can go together.
consolidate them?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Next two we'll do together.
Items 12 and 13. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, consenting to the City of Sunrise providing water service to 14251 Mustang Trail, real property lying within the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing that no further expansion of service shall be permitted without the explicit written consent of the town, providing for a certified copy of this resolution to be furnished to the City of Sunrise and providing for an effective date. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, consenting to the City of Sunrise, providing water service for 13201 Luray Road, real property lying within the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing that no further expansion of service shall be permitted without the explicit written consent of the town, providing for a certified copy of this resolution to be furnished to the City of Sunrise, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Third.
Have a motion, a second, and a third,
Fourth.
and a fourth. Any council comment on either of these items?
Mayor, I do have a quick question, if
Yeah.
you could. I looked up where these are on the Google map. They're right in the middle of a street, right in the middle of a heavy residential area there. How does Sunrise get water to them? Do they go through our swells and dig them up and put new lines in? I know that Sunshine Ranches just recently had electricity put in. So is it going to go in the same swells and will it cause a problem?
Russell, I don't know if we want to have Rod come up. or you
My
got that?
understanding is that we have lines very close by from the City of Sunrise, probably about a half a mile away. But I'll ask Rod to come up, our town engineer, to address the question.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they pay for it, right? A lot. Oh, yeah. But
I mean, I recently did this myself, so I can tell you, you have full engineering drawings which delineate exactly where all the other lines are. Then a locator comes out and sprays where those lines are. Sunrise really dictates where the lines are placed, whether it's the center line of the road or the swale, as the case may be. They look at a lot of different issues, such as roots from trees, in proximity to other homes and the like. So really, it's Sunrise who dictates the plan, and then Rod approves it. And I'm only jumping in, Rod, because I just did this.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. So essentially, and we do have some say, like, for example, if there's some hardship, there's conflicts or anything, and sometimes money's an issue, right? So sometimes there's alternative alignments and paths that you can take, and we look at different things like that. But like he said, it's certified drawings, signed and sealed in our right of way. They get a permit from us, and we approve it. And usually restoration, everything gets taken care of.
And a lot of these, just so everyone knows, doesn't just require a permit from Sunrise, the town. Mine required a permit from Davie and Central Broward Water Control District. So it all depends where. Yeah, I live off Volunteer.
Volunteer, yeah.
So it all depends exactly where the line is requested to go by Sunrise. So it is a very complex process, but all of those issues where utilities are presently located are fully baked into the decision. Where Rod has huge influence now is not only location, but where to put hydrants. A lot of residents don't understand that hydrants very important in the future. It actually lowers the insurance bill for all the neighbors if you're in a close proximity to a hydrant, and it also helps to clean the line. I learned that firsthand. So,
One other quick question. This still is not going to put us into the category with Broward as far as hooking up if you're 500 foot away,
I
correct?
eliminated that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other council questions on this item or these two items? Seeing none, any public comment on these items? Seeing none. Call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Kaczynski? Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
They passed.
All right. The settlement. Keith, are you taking that one?
Mayor, this item is before you. Basically, we're seeking a town council motion on this. This was a settlement agreement that emanated from a dispute related to a code case between the owner of the property, Ruben Vidal, and his tenant, Luigi's Landscaping. The code case centered around commercial vehicles being parked on the property. It went to magistrate. They appealed the magistrate and sought the mediation through a certified mediator. As a result of that mediation, the settlement agreement was negotiated and is before you. It's been vetted by the town attorney, and it's before you for your consideration.
I read through it. It sounds good.
Yeah. Just for the record, interesting. We're talking about proactive versus reactive code. Here was a situation where there was literally dozens and dozens of trucks coming to this nursery at the end of my street. I mean, I could count them and watch them, and it took a lot of effort on the code departments to bring everything to the table and come to this resolution.
Yeah.
And chiefly, I need to thank Keith and his efforts and his team for drawing it, getting it all squared away. So this was like a year in the making.
Yeah.
To get to this point.
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the frustrating parts about code is just by its nature, it takes time. And while all that time is going on,
yeah, and
you're still looking at the violation.
And all these
and it looks like
residents
nothing is happening.
They're looking at me like, what are you doing?
What are you doing about it?
And I'm saying I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And, and meanwhile, just truck after truck after truck after truck was coming through and then the mulching operations and all that other stuff got in the middle of it all. It's a classic example of something that took a lot of work and effort to.
You're happy with the result?
I can live with it.
Okay.
I'll put it to you that way.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Perfect. So this is discussion item. Are we voting on this or are we just taking a consensus?
I thought we were voting on it.
Motion's good.
Would like a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Gary made the motion.
I'll second.
David's got the second. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none. Any public discussion on this item? Yeah.
Good evening, John Karate, 162nd Avenue. I've said that many times tonight. I'm a little familiar with the Luigi's Landscaping case. I have a question. Why did this take so long from the moment it was agreed upon? And I understand we have a switch from administration. Why did it take so long? Yes, it takes both sides to agree on something, especially something that was mediated. On behalf of Keith, yes, it has his side. The other attorney, I happen to know him. Why did it take so long? It took a little bit too long. And this is something that I'm going to say, this could have been discussed way before and mediated internally somehow. It's not my fight, but it's what we were discussing earlier. This was negotiated back when, and Keith can tell you exactly when. Up until now, it was, hold on, let's see, we need to talk to Andy, this, that, and the other. I just want to know why it took so long. That's all I got.
Any other public comment? Seeing none. Public comment closed. I mean, these things take time. I mean, it's just, excuse me, Keith, but you get 2 or 3 attorneys in the room, things are not going to happen quickly. It's just the way it is.
This settlement agreement was signed the last week of December.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it got on the
Right.
agenda.
Right, yes, holidays and, yeah. I don't think that had anything to do with the change in administration or anything like that, yeah. All right, any other comments, questions from council? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mayor Brighters?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, we have 4 sets of minutes.
5.
5 sets of minutes.
Read them all.
We're catching up.
Motion to approve all of them.
We got a motion to approve.
second
all
on
I would,
5.
I would like to amend the motion.
Okay.
Oh,
A
okay.
motion or
Talk to
minutes?
us, David. What'd you find?
There are many, many misspellings that I provided to the clerk's office. And I would like to
Really?
amend and ask for an amendment to the motion that they're provided with the spelling corrections, please.
All right.
And we
Ah.
have received them.
Okay, so do you want to correct them now, or do you want to like bring this back next?
I already provided them to the clerk's office.
So I think we can approve them
So we
subject
can-
to those
Corrections.
those
We have the
corrections being made.
corrections already, and they've been made to the minutes. If you could just entertain a motion to approve the amended minutes, that's fine.
I'll
It's-
amend my motion to approve the amended minutes.
A lot of amending
It's a
going
problem about it being a Pollock.
on. Who seconded this?
David was about to.
Second. It's a problem of being a Pollock, all right? My name is
Are
spelled.
you seconding this, David?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other corrections to the minutes? Any public corrections to the minutes? Seeing none. Public closed. Please close us out here.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mayor Brighters?
Yes.
Minutes
everybody.
passed.
Moment of pause.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.